This knife is the last of its breed. It is discontinued, no longer made, and Microtech removed it from its website. To them, SOCOM Bravo line represents simultaneously a marketing and branding near disaster, but also evidence of their own success. Beautifully designed and impeccably constructed, this Microtech was born overseas in the People's Republic of China. And this was a result of Microtech's collaboration with Reich Knives, a luxury knife manufacturer in China. In their typical tight-lipped manner, Microtech is discontinuing this lineup of products quietly, subtly, and without any public announcements. This is SOCOM Bravo Mini Warcom. I'll be calling it SOCOM BMW. Being mini, it's almost identical in size to MSI Mini, and it's roughly 15% smaller than the standard MSI. Here I'm going to venture into a well-educated guess about why Reich collaboration even started and why it lasted less than 5 years. The answers to both of these questions are right here in front of you. Microtech completely retooled production of manual folders to the recently developed Ramlock, which is a further evidence of Microtech's industrialization and standardization effort. At a first glance, a frame lock knife is much easier to construct than a Ramlock knife, but only at a first glance. That is because the frame lock models require completely unique internal components, and these components are not interchangeable between their frame lock models. While Ramlock has a fully standardized set of components that can be cross-pollinated among multiple platforms. And that enables Microtech introduce new models with much higher frequency than before, while drastically cutting developmental and manufacturing costs. A strategy that was pioneered among the knife makers by Benchmade and propelled that company to its current level of success. I think to Microtech it was a do or die situation, because after legalization of OTF automatics in most states, that caused a huge but temporary spike in the sale of automatic knives. That market is fully saturated, leaving Microtech potentially without a bestseller model in the near future. And now Tony Marfion kicked that door wide open. While Spyderco continues to regurgitate the existing bestsellers in different steels, and while other US manufacturers like Hawk are still tooling up for mass producing better knives, Microtech were able to position themselves as a powerhouse of mass production for the late 2020s. Microtech is ready to give Kershaw, Spyderco, Benchmade, Hogue run for their money in their traditional domain, manual pocket folders. And that is the significance of SOCOM Bravo lineup. They enabled Microtech to take a pause in their domestic production without any significant reduction in overall sales. Let's do the weighing in grams first, because that's how my scale initiates. And now I'm going to do ounces. As you can see, the SOCOM and Ramlock SOCOM are both heavier by quite a bit. This one weighing only 3.6 ounces. If you enjoy my content, now would be a good time to hit the like button. And so the measurements are 3 3/4 inch overall length, which is 194 millimeters, 3.6 inch blade, which translates into 86 millimeters, and the cutting edge is about the same length. It is slimmer than the original SOCOM, and it matches the SOCOM Ramlock pretty well in thickness. So it will carry in the pocket about the same, but it definitely has a much better executed pocket clip. And here you go, the traditional SOCOM Elite. Alright, let's check out how they sharpen the blade, and for that I'm using my very inexpensive Amazon portable microscope that plugs into any handheld device or computer for that matter via USB-C. And then, as you can see, it comes with its own app that enables me not only to view things on the screen, but also record still photos or videos. And these come out at pretty high quality. So I always start at the tip, and on this knife, the tip is a little bit rounded off during sharpening. So I'm going to give it maybe 5 or 6 out of 10. The rest of the secondary bevel, or what normal people call edge, looks pretty good. And now I'm going to turn the blade in such a way that you're peering directly at the apex to see if it's rounded off. And it is not. It's starting to show somewhere because I've been cutting with the knife. Typically, after the first resharpening, the edge retention actually improves. M390 is not very hard to sharpen when heat treated to a proper hardness. And right after this segment, we'll get into measuring the hardness on the Rockwell tester. Here I'm showing you what the satin finish looks like. They call it hand-rubbed satin finish because it goes along the blade, not across the blade like on a typical satin finish. Now let's check out the plunge line between the sharpening choil and the primary bevel to make sure that the plunge line does not intrude upon the cutting edge, allowing for better sharpening. I call it Knives Peeve check, after Jared Neve, who was the first knife tuber who directed the knives community attention to this area of concern. No Knives Peeve found. So the overall sharpening would have been 8 to 9 out of 10, except for the tip that is sort of a little bit, tiny bit messed up, making it maybe a solid 7. Wouldn't it be funny if the heat treat was better than on most US-made Microtechs? Well, let's find out. And to do that, I first verify the calibration of my Rockwell tester using this certified, serialized, and independently rated to 62 HRC calibration block. This segment is continuous and uninterrupted so that you can see there are no behind-the-scenes shenanigans or creative editing going on. I am not accelerating this segment, giving you plenty of time to hit that subscribe button. And by the way, if you're not a subscriber, that may be the first time you're watching Rockwell hardness testing. And what you see on screen is me zeroing out the dial and then releasing the major weight of 150 kilos, causing the test piece being pressed against the stationary diamond-tipped penetrator, which makes a small divot on the surface. The Rockwell tester measures the depth of the divot and converts it into points of Rockwell hardness. In this case, we got 61.6, which means I'm reading an error of 0.4 HRC. The device is within the allowed calibration, but just to be fair, I am going to split this error in half and add 0.2 HRC to the following results. Microtech uses M390 steel on pretty much all of their models, and for years they were infamous for heat treating that steel to its lowest possible range of 59 to 60 HRC. But under the pressure from the knife community, in late 2024 they started producing blades at 61 to 62.5 hardness. And the first measurement for this blade is 60.7 HRC corrected for error. So the Reich heat treat is hitting the middle of the acceptable hardness range for M390. Let's touch upon a very sensitive topic. 3 years ago when I started the channel, I was pretty much set against buying premium Chinese knives. At the time I was thinking, why spend $300+ on a knife made overseas when you can buy an American-made knife for about the same money? Sorry, my background light is doing something funny here. Okay, the battery is dead. Anyway, 3 years and 600 videos later, I realized that quality is not equal country of origin, and that the American companies are just as capable of producing junky knives as Chinese companies are able to produce excellent knives. 60.2 HRC on the second poke here. Possibly I am risking alienating some of my more patriotically inclined viewers, and believe me, I wish this was not the case. I wish all American knives were miles better than anything made in China, Italy, Germany, etc. Nor am I about to start waving a red communist flag and tattooing hammer and sickle on my chest. But let's be clear, I insist we beat them by making better quality products at a lower cost. Then, and only then, can we say proudly made in the USA. 60.8 HRC. So I will call this range 60 to 61 HRC. So why am I keep going back to Microtech products and keep finding excellent knives as well as somewhat flawed designs? That was the case with the original iteration of ram lock. This is now the case with the SOCOM Elite ram lock. I hope you watched my videos about that. The reason I'm coming back to Microtech and continue to buy and collect and enjoy their knives is they are not playing it safe. They are not afraid to push the envelope and bring new models to the market. And they're not pandering to the YouTuber, social media reviewer universe. They have Rick of XRing, who reviews their knife as an official Microtech reviewer. And the only time you see a YouTuber reviewing a Microtech, that means they either bought it or a retailer, such as Blade HQ, DLT Trading, sent them the knife for the review. You know, I respect that. It is a tough business. Competition is fierce and ruthless at times. Those are knife guys, right? The way they're sunsetting the Bravo lineup is a little sort of clandestine. Just as they changed the ram lock, they didn't advertise the fact. They quietly severed the link from the main page of their website to where these knives are actually being sold. And only one model there remains, which is a spear point version of this knife, and I believe it is sold out. But they're still available on most knife retailers, at least the large ones. And this one I bought from Blade HQ on Whatnot. Yes, Blade HQ has a regularly scheduled show, or actually several shows, where they where they retail or put up for bids knives of high quality and the budget bangers as well.